In this episode of Fictional Hangover, we talk about weird stuff, wonderful stuff, surreal stuff, and strange stuff. In our discussion of Going Bovine by Libba Bray, we don't really know what went on the entire time. It's hard to comprehend. Hey everybody, welcome to Fictional Hangover, a podcast about young adult and new adult books, series, authors, and voice actors that is full of spoilers. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire, and today we're going to discuss Going Bovine by Libba Bray.
Standard disclaimer, if you haven't read this book, please remember that Fictional Hangover is all about spoilers. If you haven't read or listened and don't want to be spoiled, stop listening to us and go read or listen to the book, then come back. If you haven't done this but want to pretend that you have, or if you don't care about spoilers, or if you just like the show so much that you don't care about any of that, then listen up.
Yay!
So nice to be back on schedule. Yeah, me too. It's good. It's nice to be doing this for real again.
I say back in the booth, but it's a figurative booth more than anything else. However, I will say I do love doing a live.
I do love doing a live too. Yeah.
As nervous as I am about it, it's fun.
It is fun. I like doing lives. And I don't have to edit them.
That's true. That's true. I kind of question which platform we should use, so it would be nice if listeners could get in touch and let us know if they're okay with Facebook, if they would prefer Instagram or YouTube or potentially another one. That would be helpful for future lives.
Yeah, I'm really thinking we should go YouTube because now I'm sharing our episodes to YouTube through Podbean, so you can listen on YouTube as well. It does that weird non-video thing, but I'm sharing them there as well. And honestly, as you and I have discussed privately on many occasions lately, Facebook is a testicle in an ugly hat.
Oh God, I love that phrase so much.
So
much.
So
Bit too
maybe
much.
So maybe we should try it on YouTube next time.
Yes, and what I've noticed as well, because there are a few YouTube channels I subscribe to that live stream quite a bit, you can...
Your eyebrow just went funny.
I had 4 eyebrows there for a second. You can post on and say when lives are going to be ahead of schedule, and it's a lot easier to find. What commentary we've had back is when you try and do a live on Facebook, until it is actually live, it's difficult to find the actual the broadcast. So at least if you clicked in there, it's already there. Everybody's got the link. It's going to work straight away. So it might be a little bit more effective in that terms.
Maybe.
All we can do is try. See what happens. Have a bit of fun that way. We'll set something up.
Yeah.
Your people call my people. In other words, we'll text later on.
Yes, we will. So,
Going Bovine.
Going Bovine.
So, it is our pick for the theme for the book club. Stop looking at my one eyebrow that keeps going all over the place.
I can't.
I'm getting very paranoid about that now. It's gotten teeny tiny now. I've covered it. Anywho, Going Bovine is our book club pick of the month for the theme, which is an unreliable narrator.
Yes.
And boy, does this fit well.
Oh, it does. Oh, it so does. This book does not make any sense whatsoever.
Define surreal. Do you have any background information for it? Because I'm very interested to see what you found.
You know, I don't have a whole lot of background info about it because I was just reading interviews with Libba Bray again, and she's
went down
the
that
best.
wormhole.
Yes, she's the best at interviews. So I read one interview on goodbadandundead.com, and Libba was asked, if you were a book, what would your blurb be?
Oh.
And her response is, Libba Bray, the novel, is a wild, rollicking ride of odd quirks, strange delights, and quiet insights with an edgy punk beat you can dance to. But beneath the book's gimlet-eyed quips and absurdist humor lies a surprisingly tender heart concerned with the fragile beauty of trying to be fully human in an often inhumane world. And you know, that kind of sounds like this book.
Yeah.
Like, almost exactly this book.
Can you plagiarize yourself like that? I don't
Yes.
think you can.
You can plagiarize yourself, in fact. Then there was another question that I enjoyed her answer to. If you had never become an author, what do you think you'd be doing right now? And her response is, I'd be a bitter alcoholic or dead.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just love Libba Bray in every way, shape, or form. Did I tell you probably like a month ago, I watched an Instagram live where she was trying to put together a ring light, and it was really perverse. The way she was describing putting this ring light together, it was fantastic. She's delightful in every way.
She really is. Her interview was amazing that we did last year. You should check it out if you haven't. It was it was actually probably just as surreal and dark humoured as anything she's ever written. And then she starts to sing at us and tells us about a musical that she's working on. So it doesn't really surprise me that she's been interviewed on a website called Good, Bad and Undead.
Yes.
It's still one of the highlights from last year. It was amazing.
Right. We've interviewed so many good people.
To be fair, I mean, I'm saying a highlight. Any interview is a highlight because everybody
really
is just...
that's true. That's definitely true.
Wow. It's epic.
I just, sometimes I sit back and think, like, we don't really get paid to do this much. We make a good like $35 on Patreon from just people that like us, that are giving us money, and it's totally worth it. We've made friends with so many authors and voice actors. It's really great.
It's a really friendly connection, a really friendly community.
It is.
It is. And you kind of think just a few years ago, you probably never thought you'd do a podcast, never mind a book podcast, and that you would regularly talk to such talented people. And I include our listeners in that as well, because, like, their comments when we do Would You Rathers are brilliant. And
really
when they engage with us, it's very clever and very smart as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, we have good listeners. We read good authors. We listen to good narrators. Just everything. Everything is great. And I really love what we do.
It's great.
Yeah. Anyway, what are your initial thoughts of this book?
Do you know what? I always remember that it's got nothing to do with the book.
Well, I mean, it's absurd, the whole thing. So I think anything that we come up with today is fine.
Cool.
We have mustaches right now, by the way.
Hey, and beards. Thank you very much.
Yeah, join our Patreon bonus tier if you want to see this video in which we have turned on lots of Zoom filters.
We're filtering.
And it just adds to the absurdity of this episode.
It really does. It really, really does. So I'm
sorry, go ahead. Yes.
No, it's fine. Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, or mad cow disease, which is obviously what the main character has in the book, which we know. I always remember being on X-Files. I remember that one episode of X-Files, and it was called Our Town, and pretty much the entire town had Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. And I thought, being this little early teen person who watched X-Files, that I was so smart because I knew what Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease was. Yeah, just one of those initial thought things just made me remember that.
It's great.
What about you?
Well, my initial thought doesn't have anything to do with X-Files, unfortunately, but I didn't have any idea what to expect with this one, because if you think about it, the other Libba Bray books that we've read,
Wow.
Beauty Queens,
Yeah,
was bonkers. in every way, shape, and form. And then the Diviners was,
That's
slightly
two
bonkers,
extremes.
but yeah. So I had no idea. I had no idea what to expect. And still, just, I'm blown away. I'm blown away by this book.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure what I've read.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's something kind of great about that. But it's also frustrating at the same time.
I think you've pretty much summed that up.
Yeah. So, are you ready? Are you ready to start?
I'm ready. You're ready. I mean, clearly we're dressed to the nines. I mean...
We are.
We are very handsome tonight.
We are very, very handsome. All right.
Let's hope this makes sense.
It's not going to make sense. Just buckle up, friends. Cameron Smith is a pretty typical sarcastic teenager who hates life. He doesn't have any friends, has a part-time job that only adds to his misery, pines for the times he can smoke weed and listen to the falsetto, ukulele, and recorder music of the great tremolo. Cameron hates his family, his physics professor father, who is more interested in his job, and his new teaching assistant, gross, his community college English teacher mother, who hasn't made a decision or had a backbone in years, and his perfect cheerleader twin sister, Jenna. He's coasting. He's waiting for his life to start and often recalls the happier days. For Cameron, the best day of his life was when he was 5 and nearly died at Disney World, riding through the It's a Small World After All ride. He was there with his family, back when they actually acted like a family, when he had a sugar-overloaded and probably heat-stroke-induced anxiety attack, in which he thought the ride was taking him to the afterlife. He freaked out and attempted to escape the water ride through a small door, but fell into the water and nearly drowned instead. He still loves the ride, though. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think I would like that ride.
The song from It's a Small World going through my head for 2 weeks now.
Oh.
Cameron, while in his Spanglish class, learning about Don Quixote, falls asleep. This is normal for most high school classes, right? Yeah, it's not just high school. He suddenly jolts awake, though, when the room is on fire. What? Wait, no, it's not. It's fine. That was just a terrifying dream. Cameron pretends to have seen a cockroach.
Which is worse? It's worse.
Yeah! What? No, thank you. Fire all the time. And he's excused from the rest of class and goes to the stoner bathroom. While smoking pot with some buddies, he meets Gonzo, a little person, who was awkwardly using the toilet for entirely too long without anyone noticing. Cameron leaves, semi-buzzed, and waits for school to end. He, of course, has to run into all the popular kids, including his sister Jenna, her douchey, extra-religious football bro boyfriend Chet, and Stacey, the hot girl Cameron is crushing on. Conversations are, of course, awkward and apathetic, and then school's out, and it's time to hit the record store, Cameron's favourite place.
After picking up the newest album by the great Tremolo, Cameron's ironically favorite falsetto, Portuguese, ukulele, and recorder player, and being told to listen to jazz by the late great Junior Webster, and to get a girlfriend and a life by the shop owner.
That's a lot of customer service.
It really is. Cameron goes to see his dad at the university. Dr. Smith is flirting with his teaching assistant and is pretty dismissive of Cameron. When Cameron stands to leave his dad's office, he trips and shatters a snow globe onto a class project featuring pictures of a stolen yard gnome on vacation with students. He didn't do it on purpose, though, but his dad thinks that he did. His leg fell asleep. It's not his fault. His dad says nothing is ever his fault. Let's face it, Cameron's dad is a jerk. But what's going on with Cameron? Is he just extra clumsy lately? He takes a bus home and reads a tabloid on the way, seeing articles about a time-traveling missing scientist, fires across the country, troubled teens at a bowling alley, following the feather of the Roadrunner bus line, super colliders, a snow globe company, human growth hormones, and a disease doctor that has cheated death. What an interesting newspaper this is. I want to read it.
Wow. That's a busy news day.
It really is.
None of that water skiing squirrel stuff for that one. Jeebus.
No.
At home, Cameron smokes some more weed, then sees someone breaking into his house. He chases the person around with a frying pan like Wile E. Coyote, chases the roadrunner, and then finds a feather near an open window. That's really weird.
It is
Everything is just really weird. Must be some bad pot, must be. The next day, Cameron goes to his shitty part-time job at Butterburger, wherein he gets fired for being late and accidentally throwing milkshakes on Hot Stacy and her cheerleader friends. His hands got all jittery and he just slipped. No one believes that though, except maybe the punk rock angel in the corner. He must have done it on purpose. Wait, there's no one in the corner.
What is going on? Everything is so weird. A couple of weeks later in school, Cameron is sick in the stoner bathroom. One of his buddies thinks he's eaten bad mushrooms, but really, he hasn't done any drugs, apart from smoking a little bit of weed. He goes to class and has another jittery moment, and accidentally punches Chet in the stomach. Seriously, it was an accident. His pal explains the punch by saying Cameron's on drugs, and that, along with the punch, gets him suspended from school. His parents take him to see a therapist and a drug counselor who prescribes him more drugs to stop him from using drugs. If only
Irony.
that was the problem.
Sweet irony.
Cameron can't explain to his parents what's actually going on, mostly because he can't explain it himself, and also because they definitely won't listen to him. He does tell the psychiatrist everything that he's been experiencing, but he's just prescribed antipsychotic medication and sent on his way. Ugh. Oh no. Oh God, no.
Warning.
Warning. Things start to get weird here. Start to, right now, here, in this current place. I feel like we need to apologize in advance for the nonsense that is the rest of the summary. It's even more nonsensical than what has already happened. Stream of consciousness weirdness. Alert!
Ooh. Dee.
This would have been a perfect time for sirens to go outside my window.
It really would have. How dare they be so inconsiderate?
I know, it's terrible.
Anywho. Cameron takes a bike ride to the record store, and on his way home, the sky opens up into a black hole and there's lightning everywhere. The lightning causes a fire that turns into a bunch of fire giants that start chasing him, and then he sees a giant knight with a sword in the middle of the road. Then, all of a sudden, everything is normal again. Back home, Cameron searches the internet for what the hell is going on and finds a website called followthefeather.com. Music from a band called Copenhagen Interpretation starts playing, and then there's a scientist who talks about searching different dimensions for the meaning of life. Then Cameron wakes up the next morning. When he goes down for breakfast, he smells what is possibly the toaster on fire. But it's not. The fire giants are in the kitchen. Oh shit. They're burning him up, and then he has a seizure.
Yikes, fucking yikes.
That entire paragraph is just horrible, like...
Yeah. It's not
That is
good.
not bad pot.
Finally, his parents believe that something is wrong with Cameron, and he's being shuffled between different specialists at the hospital and has MRIs and lots of other tests done. The doctors discover that he has Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, aka mad cow disease. There are prions inside his brain that are destroying it, causing progressive muscle weakness, dementia, and delusions, and, worst of all, there's no cure. Cameron gets checked into St. Jude's Hospital, and things go downhill quickly. He has some visitors, watches TV, meets other patients. Then he's having seizures again and is intubated. He can no longer breathe on his own, but this is never said outright. While this is happening, Cameron focuses on the angel on the wall of his room and thinks about the punk rock angel he saw on his last day at Buddha Burger.
Cameron wakes up to see Gonzo sharing his room. His hypochondriac mother has made him check into the hospital for whatever made-up thing she suspects is killing him. Some time passes, and once, when no one else is in the room, Cameron's visited by the punk rock angel. She introduces herself as Dulcie and tells him, while hanging a spoon off her nose, that he must go on an important mission to save the world. The prions in his brain are killing him and make him able to see things that others do not. They're powered by dark energy that the mysterious Dr. X brought back with him after travelling through different dimensions. Cameron has to find Dr. X, stop the dark energy from flowing through the wormhole he's created, and get a cure from him. He also has to take Gonzo with him. Dulcie gives Cameron a power bracelet that looks a lot like an old Disney World armband that will give him health while he's on his journey. Now he and Gonzo must save the world. Ooh, adventure! Or something like that.
Or something like that. Neither Cameron nor Gonzo are entirely sure where or how they should be going on this world-saving adventure until Cameron begins to see clues and signs everywhere he looks and follows them. The universe guides them to the bus station and to New Orleans, where Mardi Gras is in full swing. They meet Miss Demeanor, a drag queen who helps them get a private audience with supposedly dead jazz legend Junior Webster. Junior knows Cameron is searching for Dr. X and is on a quest to close the wormhole, so he plans to give Cameron his magic trumpet that he can blow when he's in trouble. That will certainly help matters, I believe. He also gives Cameron his sunglasses, tells him to bury them under the angel, and wait for a message. Before their conversation concludes, the fire giants and an evil being called the Wizard of Reckoning come for them. The Wizard of Reckoning wants Junior's trumpet, and they have a musical battle for it. What? Christ.
I have no idea.
The wizard kills Junior and explodes the jazz club just as Junior tosses Cameron the trumpet. Cameron and Gonzo flee in search of the angel where they're supposed to bury the sunglasses. They meet up with Dulcie again, and hey, she's an angel! So Cameron buries the sunglasses at her feet. Then he trips over a rock and finds a classified advertisement leading them to Daytona, Florida. The advertisement rips away in the wind, leaving Cameron with a piece that says, "To live."
Ooh. They get on another bus, and while riding, Cameron dozes off and hears his mom reading Don Quixote to him and sees a lot of different people that he knows walking around. But then he wakes up and he's back on the bus. Dulcie is here now, and they talk for a bit about random things, and she tells him to make memories and to live. But then she disappears as the bus pulls over at a rest stop in Mississippi. Cameron overhears a cop talking to someone and realises that they are looking for them. Cameron calls home to tell everyone that he's safe, but then Dulcie shows up again and tells him he has to leave them behind because he's on a mission. He gets angry and tells her to leave him alone, and she disappears again. Unfortunately, things get worse because they get stranded here when Gonzo playing video games instead of paying attention to the bus that drives off without them. Now they have to hitchhike.
Yikes. And because of course things can't go well ever, while hitchhiking, the fire giants show up. A van drives by, and Cameron tries to get it to stop, but then someone's doing chest compressions on him and calling for suction and paging Dr. Xavier, and then the van almost hits him. The van pulls over, and then a guy and a girl wearing shirts that say Cessnab offer Cameron and Gonzo a ride. Gonzo thinks that they're serial killers, but they turn out to be from a cult called the Church of Everlasting Satisfaction and Snackin' Bowl.
Nice.
Cessnab. While we all know that it's a cult, Cameron doesn't quite realize it yet and gets sucked in. They offer him whatever flavor smoothie he wants, but it turns out that all the smoothies are vanilla because everyone is happier when everything's the same all the time. There are shops all around the Cessnab facility where you can buy whatever you want because buying things makes you happy. And anytime anyone there gets sad, they're offered smoothies and made to go bowling, where they all bowl strikes all the time. It's definitely a cult, and everyone knows it.
I would be very suspicious just by bowling a strike.
Bowling all strikes all the time, too. That's crazy.
Well, it happened last week when I went bowling and I was like,
Were you in a cult? Did you get a smoothie?
No, I had an orange juice. Yeah. Semi-cultish.
Not quite, though. Not
No,
quite. You're not
no,
quite
no,
there.
no, not full cult.
No.
After some culty fun... God, I love that phrase. Culty fun. After some culty fun, Cameron begins to realise that being happy all the time isn't so great and that there's more to living life than this. A girl at the cult makes Cameron realise this, so they start a revolution by raiding Shakespeare and breaking the magnets that cause everyone to always get strikes while bowling.
Damn it was magnets!
Ah, bloody magnets. Then everything explodes into chaos and Cameron and Gonzo are able to escape. They walk down the road for a long time until they come across a motel. They get a room for the night, but Cameron can't sleep, so he leaves Gonzo and goes for a walk. He finds a payphone outside a gas station and calls his dad, who tells him he loves him. But the connection isn't great and the call drops. Cameron notices his Disney power bracelet is about half full of energy, which isn't good. He goes into the shop and has another jittery fit, spilling soda and stuff everywhere and causing the attendant to get angry. He leaves and is picked up by a teenage girl and her boyfriend, and they go to a party.
Shrug!
Yay! Let's go to a party with strangers from the convenience store.
Hey! Woo!
That's not the best plan. Worst plan.
It's not the weirdest thing to have happened, though.
It's probably the most normal thing to have happened so far.
Yeah, you're probably right. At the party, Cameron... Oh, God.
Oh, wow, my beard goes all the way up.
It does. It's handsome. I noticed it earlier, and I thought that you had, like, cool sideburns, but no, it's just a very narrow, like, chin beard. Okay, excuse me. Back to the normal party that Cameron goes to. At the party, Cameron befriends a garden gnome called Balder, who is actually a Norse god cursed by Loki to be a garden gnome.
Of course. Isn't every garden gnome?
If only we could be so lucky. Together, they steal drug money from the guy who lives at the house and pees on Balder when he's drunk, and they go back to the motel. The next day, they go for breakfast, and Balder tells Gonzo that he is the immortal Norse god Balder, who was protected from death by his mother, Frigg, from everyone but the mistletoe bush, and thus he cannot be hurt. Gonzo and Balder get into a little fight.
Play on word.
And then Cameron leaves to call his mom. He leaves her a message and then runs into Dulcie. She gives him information she found out about Dr. X and tells him that the Wizard of Reckoning is on his way to find Dr. X. It won't be good if he gets to Dr. X first. Cameron returns to the table to see the little fight has gotten worse. But actually not worse. Gonzo and Balder are charging people to try to kill Balder, and they've raised a bunch of money. But then I love the thought of Balder at like a booth in a greasy restaurant. And he's got like knives and forks stuck in him, and it's great. But then things actually do get worse. The fire giants and the Wizard of Reckoning are here. Just as everything is about to end, Cameron falls asleep.
Oh. He wakes up in a field talking to a woman he met in the hospital. Then he is in the hospital watching cartoons. Then he's back with Gonzo and Balder and the fire giants. They run away from the restaurant and the motel as the buildings and all the cars and trucks nearby are sucked into a black hole. Gonzo recognises the wizard and the fire giants from New Orleans, and so Cameron tells him everything about them and Dr. X and saving the world. Gonzo wants to leave, but Balder wisely says that this is a quest and we do not give up on our friends. They really need to get to Daytona now, so they decide to buy an old Cadillac with their stolen drug money and drive the rest of the way. They listen to the great Tremello and make jokes for a while, and it's a very nice drive. Wonder how long this is going to last.
They're still driving along when Cameron sees another clue with his random clue-finding mad cow brain. They pull over at a rest stop, and while Gonzo and Balder sleep, Cameron takes a walk around. He finds an old man that runs a hardware store who directs him to a clearing where he then finds Dulcie at a huge wishing tree. There are lots of wishes on the tree, and Cameron adds his own. They sit together and play charades and talk, and Cameron asks Dulcie what's next. What happens if I close the wormhole? Dulcie chides him, always worrying about the future and never focused on the here and now, because this is it. This is what matters. He has a dream that he's back in the hospital, and then the fire giants are there, and they take Dulcie away. He wakes up, and nothing's on fire, so he leaves the clearing and goes back to the hardware store where the old man gives him a magic screw. Reasonable.
This is like the most surreal D&D trip ever. They're back on the road again and stop for gas just outside Florida. Here they learn that they're pretty much on the top 10 of America's most wanted. That's bad. The cult members have said they're responsible for the destruction of their cult and that they're terrorists. Yikes. The United Snow Globe Wholesalers Company has put a bounty on their heads. Why them? Who knows? Not much time passes, and then they're out of gas again, but this time there's no gas station in sight, so they set off walking. They come across a building called Putopia, full of scientists that are studying time travel and theoretical physics and string theories and parallel universes and supercolliders, the theory of nothing, the theory of everything, plus a little bit more, and on and on. Turns out they know about Dr. X. He loved snow globes, and his wife always bought him one for Christmas, but then she died in an explosion, and he was forever changed. He wanted to learn to stop death. He also believed that music was its own dimension, and he used the music of Copenhagen interpretation to travel to another dimension. By using their music, he caused the group to disappear into an aura... This is crazy, I love it. By using their music, he caused the group to disappear into an aurora borealis, and they haven't been seen for years and years. Cameron asks the scientists to send him to the same place Dr. X went, and they try. Everything in that paragraph is batshit crazy. What's going on?
Nothing makes sense. It's perfect. Cameron is put into a machine, and time and space bend around him. The music of Copenhagen interpretation is loud, and he sees them playing, and sees them being sucked into a wormhole, and sees Dr. X with his wife, and without his wife, and he sees Gonzo working a desk wearing a fedora, and his dad with his arms around his shoulders, and the It's a Small World ride, and Dulcie crying in the snow. Then everything is quiet. He steps out of the machine, and the scientists cheer!
Yay!
Even though Cameron didn't travel to where Dr. X is, whatever they did was a success. One of the scientists at Pootopia then tells Cameron that Dr. X is at Tomorrowland in Disney World, which makes about as much sense as anything else. Now, that's where they're headed.
Of course he is.
My favorite part is that which makes about as much sense as anything else is a direct quote from the book. So it's not just us who don't know what's going on.
They're back on the road again, and then they pick up some hitchhikers because of course they do. Cameron reasons that if they have more people in their car, the snow globe people won't recognise them. It's actually quite a good plan.
It is. It's a good thought.
Exactly. The hitchhikers are college bros who are on their way to Daytona to go to the party house, which seems to be like some sort of televised wild and crazy spring break event. The bros really think Balder is cool and want to take pictures with him, but we all know Balder is a Norse god, so no, you can't take pictures with him. Then they have to pee. They stop at a gas station and Dulcie is there, so she and Cameron talk for a bit. And the lady working the register recognises Cameron and starts shooting, so Dulcie breaks snow globes as a distraction while Cameron, Gonzo, Balder and the bros speed away. Yes, more wanton destruction.
At least snow globes were the only thing that exploded this time. They stop a little bit later and camp out in the wilderness. Balder comes to life and tells the bros about his life as a Viking god, and then they all drink beer and eat corn chips. Cameron gets sleepy, and then a doctor is tapping his foot, but he can't feel it. Then the doctor says something about hospice, and then Cameron wakes back up, and Dulcie is there. They hold hands and talk about the future, and she reveals that one of the bros is gonna vomit in 20 minutes.
Ooh.
That's the future she tells him about, but that's not good enough. She then tells him about one of the other bros who will really enjoy hanging out with him, and then he dies in a mine explosion later when he joins the army. It's not a good future to learn about either. Cameron tries to convince the bro not to join the army and tells him about the magic screw, which all the bros laugh about. Cameron gets mad at Dulcie for making him care about these stupid bros. How dare he care about people? He's probably gonna die. He rips off his wristband and runs off, but comes back not too much later and talks to Balder, who convinces him to continue on his quest instead of giving up.
They get back on the road the next day and Cameron tells the bros that they need to part ways, and they do with no hard feelings. And with Balder. Yeah, this stole him! This stole the gnome!
Sons of bitches!
Cameron realises after a few hours, and so he and Gonzo head back to Daytona to find them. And then they get mixed up with the party house. They use their time there to win money on game shows, which is definitely reasonable. Cameron plays a game about music, and of course it's all questions about the Great Tremello and Junior Webster and Wile E. Coyote, and everything else that's been running through the book the whole time. It's perfect! He wins $600. But he has to use it immediately because he spots Balder being auctioned off on another TV show. Unfortunately, he and Gonzo lose the auction to the college bros, who are just auctioning Balder between themselves for money and attention. The bastards, honestly. I thought they had a good time. They were supposed to be our bros.
I hate them.
Then, the one that will later explode pulls out Cameron's screw and hits on the show host with it.
Gross.
Seriously, at this point, let's just let the guy explode. Luckily, they find Balder and are able to get him back, but only if Gonzo performs a TV show called I Double Dog Dare You, to be filmed later that night. Don't do that. Don't. We all know about picking the dare.
And he's a hypochondriac, which is not going to be good.
No.
So they split up here, and Cameron takes Balder to rest in the room that they rented. Then he runs into his sister Jenna. She's here with Stacy and not with Chet because they broke up. They talk about whatever it is that's going on with Cameron and his quest to save the world, and also the fact that he's a wanted terrorist. Jenna is scared for him, but believes in what he must do to save the world and himself. Then she gets distracted by a hot guy, and Cameron slips away and right into Stacy. Almost literally into Stacy. She reveals that she's always had a crush on Cameron, and then they have sex.
Oh.
At least when Cameron dies, he won't be a virgin. Score!
Yay.
She leaves him right after, which probably isn't a good sign. He falls asleep then, but tells his nurse that he's afraid to sleep because he's going to die. But then Dulcie wakes him up, and then he and Dulcie have sex. Damn it, man.
Wow,
Back
he's
to
a
back.
player in like 20 minutes.
Back to back banging.
I mean, to be fair, Stacey only left him like after 4 minutes and then he had a nap.
Yeah. He had a little recharge.
After his little discharge.
It's probably going to be better the second time, right?
He hasn't had enough practice. You don't get a lot of practice when the minutes are in single digits.
No, you don't.
No. Bless.
It'll be better this time, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. When he wakes up the next day, Gonzo is nowhere to be found. Oh shit. He forgot about Gonzo and how he's supposed to be on that TV show, and now he's worried about him. But then he shows up with a mohawk and a boyfriend, so the TV show wasn't so bad. Yay!
Yay, Gonzo!
He was dead to sit in an electric chair, but instead of shocking him, the host shaved his hair into a mohawk. Other people were dead to eat a dung beetle and be zapped with a cattle prod. Yikes, what the hell, man?
Nope. No,
Luckily,
thank you.
Gonzo is the winner and the best, and now he's got a cute boyfriend and a tattoo.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a major change for him.
They were both very busy the night before.
Yeah, they got stuff done in 12 hours. It's amazing.
They did. They really did.
So they get ready to head out again, but there are tons of people around the party house now. The Copenhagen interpretation has reappeared from nowhere, and they're going to perform. Yay! The concert is completely awesome, and Dulcie is there, and then they get to go backstage, which is doubly awesome. And then, guess who shows up? That's right, the Fire Giants! Oh, shit. Cameron
They haven't
convinces
been
the
around
band.
for a while.
Yeah, but they always turn up.
They always turn up.
Yeah.
Damn it.
They're always uninvited, and they just turn up and ruin
Ugh.
the day.
Ugh.
Dicks.
Ugh.
Cameron convinces the band to play the same song they did when they disappeared into the Aurora Borealis. And they do, and they disappear again, but they also close the wormhole, and the Fire Giants and the Evil Wiz and everything else terrible disappears too. Wow. That was a power chord right there.
It really was.
And somehow, they probably saved the world. The wormhole's closed. Way!
Yeah. Ooh. Yay. They decide to get back on the road now to find Dr. X for real, even though they think that the world is saved. But then the Snow Globe bounty hunter guys show up and start shooting. And then Dulcie is there, and she flies away with Cameron, but then she gets shot and sucked into a snow globe.
Bad times.
Shrug. She pushes Cameron into the ocean, who then dreams about falling into the It's a Small World ride and wakes up captured by the snow globe guys, who then freaking kill Balder
Bastards.
with a stick that they found that had mistletoe on it, because that's the only thing they can kill him. And
Bastards.
somehow that was on the beach, and now he's dead, and it's the worst chapter ever.
Not holly driftwood sticks. They litter every beach.
Not in Florida, okay? That's not a thing.
It is now.
It is now. Cops show up then, And the snow globe guys leave with Dulcie in her globe. Cameron and Gonzo give Balder a Viking funeral and then set off to follow the snow globe guys and rescue Dulcie. They should be going to Disney to find Dr. X and Cameron's cure, but he doesn't care about that anymore. He only cares about saving Dulcie.
Oh.
Guess where the snow globe guys are going, though? That's right, they're going to Disney World.
Of course.
Convenient!
Of course. Cameron pretty much immediately gets caught by the snow globe guys. But then he starts singing It's a Small World and gets all the crowds riled up and singing too, and is able to escape. That would never happen in Disney World. You'd get booed. He sneaks through a back door on a ride in Tomorrowland and finds himself face to face with Dr. X. Yes, finally! But no, Dr. X is actually an asshole with a very large snow globe collection who is very jaded about everything and doesn't care about Cameron or saving his life.
Great! Damn it!
Cameron sees that Dr. X has the Dulcie globe and asks if he'll set her free. He will, if Cameron can tell him one thing he's learned on his journey. One thing worth living for. He responds, to live is to love, and to love is to live. But that's not good enough for Dr. X.
Mm-mm.
Then the Wizard of Reckoning appears. And shockingly, he is Cameron.
What?
Didn't see that one coming now, did ya?
No, literally no, I did not. I was actively surprised by that. The wizard is upset with Cameron that he started caring so much at the end because really, that's all this is. The end. There's no Dr. X. There's no cure. There's nothing but death. It's all been inside his head. The only thing that was real was his wish that he made at the wishing tree. To live. The wizard asks him if he's lived these past 2 weeks on his quest, and he says yes, he has, but he's lived every week before this too. Or has he just existed until now? So, none of this has been real? Oh, it's real, because reality is what you make it. If that's true, then Cameron wants the wizard to make Dulcie real again, to free her from the snow globe. The wizard says no, and then tries to make Cameron come with him, to join him, which of course Cameron does not want to do. Then the wizard slices him up with his sword and tells him to get his nurse to check on his wounds. But the nurse isn't here, she's at the hospital. Oh, but wait! That's where he's been the entire time! Or is this a trick? Cameron looks down and sees his power bracelet is actually his hospital bracelet. Then he makes his own reality and runs away from the wizard through a doorway like the Roadrunner running away from Wile E. Coyote.
Cameron runs through several doors that are futures and pasts of people he loves. He sees himself as a kid, and his dad, and his teaching assistant, and Stacy, and the Small World ride, and the Magic Screw Guy getting blown up, and also Magic Screw Guy old in a shop, and Gonzo, and Copenhagen interpretation, and a million other things. Then they're back where they started. The wizard tells him that this is the end, and asks if he has any last words. Cameron's last words are the same as before. To live is to love, and to love is to live. But the wizard thinks that's pretty lame. But there's nothing else. Then Cameron remembers Junior Webster, because he also apparently said something like that when giving Cameron his trumpet, which he's supposed to blow when he needs help. He does! No sound comes out, but then the wizard crumples in on himself, and the world slows down. There are beeps and whirs, and his mum and dad and his sister holding his hands. The beeps and whirs stop. Everything goes dark. Cameron wakes up one last time and sees Dulcie on the Small World ride. Everything is bright and beautiful here in Cameron's favourite place. He and Dulcie kiss as she wraps him in her wings.
Whew.
Wow.
Woof.
I think we need to take some time to process what the hell we've just experienced.
Really, we really do. Let's take a moment. Yeah. Everyone, check out this other podcast. It won't be as weird as us, unfortunately.
These days, more authors are including mental health content in their books. But do you ever wonder how accurate some of this stuff is?
Or do you ever read something where you know the author just gets it?
I'm Elise.
And I'm Priscilla.
And we are Novel Feelings, a podcast where we discuss mental health issues in fiction novels.
We are psychologists and book lovers, and we have a lot of opinions.
So look for Novel Feelings wherever you get your podcasts.
Now, back to your show.
Are we back?
Probably.
Probably. Who knows? We can't tell. Everything's so weird.
I don't know. We could be in reality. We could be through the wormhole. We could be riding It's a Small World right now.
No. No, thank you. No, thank you very much. This book, man.
What the hell? That's my only one question. What the hell?
I loved it.
Good.
It was so weird and nonsensical, and it kind of reminded me of Beauty Queens. You know, when there were
Making
commercial
PowerPoint
breaks
presentations.
and PowerPoint presentations and weird interviews and guns and just every weird random thing that was just thrown in randomly. It's all random, all of it. All of it.
Yeah.
But this time it was purposefully random.
It was more surreal.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. I loved when all of this crazy shit is happening to Cameron, and then there's just a shift of a paragraph to him being in the hospital and something else terrible happening, and then he blinks and he's back on his quest with Gonzo, and I don't know, it was just it was, I don't have words. It was ridiculously heart-wrenching.
God, yes. Every scene when he was back at the hospital and the quote-unquote reality seeped in was gut-wrenching.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially the last two chapters, which the chapters are very short. There was like 1,000 chapters in this book. But the last two chapters, when he's realizing that everything around him has been happening in his head.
Yeah.
And then he still wants to save Dulcie anyway. And then he actually dies. I've said this before on the podcast, probably a long, long time ago, probably even before you were on the show, but not all books have happy endings.
Yeah.
And so I was expecting him to die, but I thought because this book is so ridiculous, something crazy is going to happen. And he's not going to die, even though he probably still is going to die, but it's not going to be like he literally dies and his nurse closes his dead eyes.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting emotional eyes.
I can tell. I can tell. It's starting. I can see the emotion coming out of you. And yeah. Yeah.
So I loved it. It made no sense, but it also made sense at the same time. And it's just weird and terrible. And I loved it.
Yeah. I didn't enjoy it as much as you. That's my confession over with. And I have been trying to think why. I've been racking my brain as to why. I expect surrealism. I expect dark humour from the Bray. I loved the Diviner series. I adore the Diviner series and will recommend it to everyone. Beauty Queens was spectacular. And as you've said about the advertisements kind of ring true with going Bovine as well. Yeah, I get that. But there was something about the story that just didn't capture my attention. And I don't know if it was circumstances when I was listening to it. I I don't know if it was my mindset just wasn't in it. But I've noticed as we've gone through the summary, I've been laughing and giggling and enjoying it and getting the feels in all the right places. And I'm wondering if I've discussed this before about funny things or dark humour or surreal programmes, television programmes that people have raved about and absolutely adored. And I've watched it and just deadpanned the entire time through, and I've just not found it entertaining. But then somebody's told me what the episode is and recited it back to me, and I've been decked. And I think it's kind of this situation. I'm wondering if I would enjoy it more on a second or third reading rather than the first one. Like, I've got my mindset and the idea of what it is, that it is this disjointed story, that it is this weird, wonderful ride. It is very much like It's a Small World. It's like It's a Small World in book form, but without the weird cultural stereotypes and tiny little scary dolls. Well, I suppose you've got Gonzo and Balder to fit fit those. But it is, and I have enjoyed it from the summary. I've really enjoyed that summary, more than I actually enjoyed the book at the time of reading initially. But that's not to say I won't go back and actually listen to it again. I think I will enjoy this more the second or third time round. However, saying all that, there are parts I absolutely adored. And like you, whenever the reality kicked in and you saw the scenes in the hospital, oh my god, my heart was breaking. There was times where I got so emotional because I was thinking, his poor family, he might not have liked them and they might not have got on, but that's kind of family. And his belief that what he's living at the moment with this adventure is his reality, but then his reality is being hooked up to machines and ventilators and wires and beeping, and that was wrenching. That was absolutely wrenching.
Oh my gosh, I know. I hated one of the very first breakouts back into reality is him being intubated, and his nurse is just like, calm down, baby, it'll be okay. And they're freaking shoving tubes down his throat because he's not breathing on his own. And you're like, holy shit, yikes. Yikes to this. But then, you know, he's back on the road with his crazy college bros and his dwarf friend and his beautiful angel girlfriend and
a garden gnome,
a Viking garden gnome. Right. Like, you can't be upset about it, but man, it was wrenching.
It was. It really, really was. Were there any particular parts of, I mean, obviously, by your description, the entire thing from start to finish is just stand out, but are there any particular scenes?
I have to say that I really liked the bowling alley, and it made me want to go bowling. I used to bowl a lot, and I haven't gone bowling in a long time. So the bowling alley I really enjoyed, and the guy who was there at the cult who was not happy, and you know, he's like, oh, I'm just really sad about my dog that died, you know, I just keep thinking about it. And they're like, have a smoothie, bowl a strike, buy some pants. Like, what? He's like, I don't want to buy any pants. I just want to be sad about my dog for a little while. And they're like, no. And then SWAT teams come in. You're like, what the hell is this? I liked it. I liked the
book
cult.
Was a double take, wasn't it? What?
Yeah, what? What? Excuse me? What?
I really enjoyed the Church of Everlasting Satisfaction and Snack and Ball. The entire bit, actually, I really, really enjoyed. And I absolutely adore the fact that the revolution was started by a librarian.
Yes, I loved her shirt. You know, she's wearing a Cessnab shirt because she obviously works there, but she has the nab marked out of her Cessnab shirt, and it's replaced with pool. And it just reminds me of, you know, us saying that Twitter is a glittery cesspool with Elise Green, and I was just like, yes, cesspool.
I could picture you in that t-shirt with a bowling ball in one hand and a vanilla smoothie in the other, and I'm like, yes, that's just perfect.
I could do it. And then read Shakespeare.
And yes, there's your TikTok.
Yep. Perfect.
Oh, it was amazing. And I as my t-shirt shows, I love Disney. I love Disney. You're in Hogwarts, I'm down in Disney World. We've established our castles. We're neighbours in the state, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I adore Walt Disney World, and I loved all the Walt Disney World references, and I actually did enjoy the concept that, you know, it's kind of like, what are you going to do now? I'm going to Disney World! And it just did that to the nth degree. When he went on the TTA, when he went on the People Traveller, I was like, oh, I love that ride! I've been on that ride so many times. It just goes around Tomorrowland, and it's just slow, but it's covered, so you're not in the Florida heat for a good 20 minutes. And if there's no queue, you just make a circle in the air, and the cast member just lets you keep going on and ride on. And I probably rode it like 3 or 4 times in a loop to keep out of the Florida sun for a little while. And then went to the launching pad and had a frozen fizzy tango blast drink and a jalapeno cream cheese pretzel while it thunderstormed. But I was one of the lucky ones under an umbrella, sat down and just watched the rain. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. So I have extremely fond memories of Disney World, and all those references to it. But It's a Small World, oh my god, it's like the bane of my existence. Honestly.
It's like everyone's least favourite ride. It's the worst.
My friend went to Disney World and brought me back, and I wish I still had it, but unfortunately it got a little bit murky. And It's a Small World snow globe.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It was great. I loved it, but snow globes can get the water and go funny, and the water went funny. But it played the music. It had the wind up underneath, and it played the It's a Small World music. So it was nightmares in snow globe form. So I kind of appreciate where Dulcie's coming from with that. Yeah. And also the name Dulcie, a friend of mine's mother, who was like a raging feminist, freedom, suffragettes. You know, she was born in the wrong era. Her name was Dulcie, and the character of Dulcie kind of reminded me a little bit of her as well. So I did like that as well. So for all the fact I'm saying I didn't really enjoy the book per se, I did enjoy the book. I just think it's one of these where I'll find it funnier when I've listened to it again.
Right. And like, it's funny, but it's also terribly sad.
It's gallows humour, because it's dark and gallows humour. It's not like, there are some laugh out louds, but definitely. It's more this simmering kind of, should I be laughing at this? Should I be laughing at the dwarf that's just been put into an electric chair, tattooed, and been given a mohawk? Am I allowed to laugh at that? You kind of feel like you need somebody to give you permission to say, it's funny, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It took them ages to realise that Misdemeanor was a drag queen. That bit was quite hilarious.
Yeah, that was really great too. Do you know, when you said a few minutes ago about how you're Disney and I'm Hogwarts and we have our castles, it reminded me of something that I thought during the summary, but I didn't want to say it because, I mean, I don't always need to talk about Harry Potter, but the scene at the end when he's like, is any of this even happening? You know, is it real? That's like a direct Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows comparison. Yeah. When Harry's potentially in the afterlife asking if any of this is real, and you're like, oh no, oh no, Harry Potter's dead, oh no, Cameron's dead. Yeah. But then Cameron really is dead.
Yeah. There was a lot of pop culture references throughout. You can see the influences to different things. Yeah. Yeah. Thankfully, no little child Voldemort underneath the seat or anything creepy like that.
Yeah, no creepy fetus thing happening. I also loved that they're reading Don Quixote and the story is basically Don Quixote wandering through the wilderness, fighting, I almost said wind chimes, fighting windmills. That's me. I'm the one fighting
You're
the
the
wind
one
chimes.
fighting wind chimes.
You know, he's on this weird quest, and there's Dulcinea, and the angel's name is Dulcie. It's like, so he's just unfortunately started reading Don Quixote in class the day that his brain started to sponge out, and now that's what he's living in.
Yeah, yeah. This it's quite a. I say quite a lot, but it felt like, I mean, as you've probably gathered, I listened to it, not actually physically read the book. It felt like quite a bit of time was spent before the adventure, like setting up who Cameron was, his family, the situation, the decline of his health. And it's like any TV program that does this as well. You know, the tips and the what's going to happen is there. You can see what's going to happen. It's all there. And the references are there. And if you haven't picked up as you're going along that all the batshit crazy stuff that's happening is not reality, it's the influences that we've already read about in the first segment of the book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of like, well, I've already told you the story, kind of.
Yeah. It's kind of like I almost get like a Wizard of Oz sort of theme too. Like, oh, and you were there, and you were there, and you were there, but like, you're not there at the same time. Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, yeah, it is. I mean, if you think about it, that is a very good comparison, because Gonzo is the Cowardly Lion. He's, you know, the Tin Man. He's looking for his brave. He's coward. I mean, he's forever going on about how he's got this disease and that disease and the other disease. It's like, don't, you're hypochondriac. Your mother's telling you you've got these diseases. So he's a Cowardly Lion. I mean, he ends up with a boyfriend at the end, so he ends up with a heart. You know, does he have a brain? We're still working that one out.
Yeah, and, you know, Cameron's also kind of working on a brain, but his brain's just fizzling away. And
does that make Balder Dorothy?
Balder can be Dorothy. Or is Dulcie Dorothy?
Yeah, it does have a lot of Wizard of Oz vibes. And there's other bits and pieces that as you're reading through, you kind of think, hang on, this is similar to this is similar to that.
Yeah.
Now,
even like getting to the end and finding Dr. X, who you think Dr. X is going to save the day, he's going to have this cure, and no, he's just a little man behind a thing who doesn't give a fuck about anyone.
Yeah.
He's the wizard, even though there is also a Wizard of Reckoning, which is also Cameron, which is also weird.
Yeah. And I got Dr. Freeze vibes from Dr. X.
Right, because he loves snow globes.
And the wife issue.
And the wife, yes.
You know, there's a few superhero things going on in there. There's probably a bit of Thelma and Louise thrown in too.
Yeah, there's a lot of... I mean, they don't actually drive, like, off a cliff, but there's lots of weird stuff that happens in the cars.
It's a metaphorical cliff that they're driving off.
Yes, and they're eating pancakes and waffles a lot, and that's all I got.
Yeah. But you can definitely tell there's a lot of pop culture references, at least if not directly, there's a lot of indirect pop culture references in there.
Yeah.
And again, it just felt like a giant D&D in modern surroundings, collecting all of these valuable items that could be later used. A magic screw, a trumpet, you know, just... Yeah.
It's very weird. I tried to think of what things were happening to Cameron in the hospital that were influencing what he was dreaming of, and I'm thinking like, okay, well, his friend from the record store is clearly there, and he's playing music to try to, you know, wake him up or try to soothe him. You know, he's playing this weird Copenhagen interpretation group that's like magical and peaceful. You know, maybe that will try to, maybe that's to help him. It's to help soothe his passing, you know, but they're just always there, and then they disappear into an aurora borealis. I loved when they come back at the end, you know, so his friend has clearly come back and is playing the music again. And they're there and they're putting on their concert, and he's like, hey, you got to play this one song. And they're like, that's the song that sucked us into the aurora borealis. okay, here we go. And then they get sucked up again.
I sometimes wonder, could some of the events be, like the fire giants, be cardiac arrest? So is it
could
the
be.
Say the word for me.
Yep.
Defibrillator.
The defibrillator.
Firing, causing, the sparks.
Yeah,
from the fire.
I feel like it was every time he had a seizure or something.
Yeah.
He's got these like burning flames going through him.
It's like the neurons sparking as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would to think, and I would like your opinion on this actually. The phone calls he has with his mum and his dad, and when he talks to Jenna at the party, is that him getting some sort of lucidity into reality? Now he's got his eyes closed and he's still within the magical world, but is he actually having these conversations? Is he actually able to say these things to his actual family in the real world? Is that kind of like bridging the gap?
I think so. That's what I thought was happening, especially because there was one time where, the doctor was talking to him and he's like, I'm talking to you out loud. Or am I talking to you out loud? And then he struggles to make his voice work. And then the doctor's like, well, if you can't respond with your voice, squeeze my hand. And then he does. And the doctor's like, okay. So I think that those are moments where he's with his family and, he's trying to respond, but then the call drops or the connection's not good.
Yeah.
So he's trying to say these things and his family is there telling him that they love him and he just can't respond. And like the time that he wanted to leave a voicemail, or he wanted to call his mom, but he just got her voicemail instead. So I just feel like that's his mom sitting next to him.
Yeah.
And he wants to talk to her, but he can't. So, yeah, I feel like that is some sort of bridge thing that's happening. But now I had an inappropriate thought.
Okay. This is a safe space, no judgment. Well, I may judge, but as a friend.
You can judge. It's fine. Okay, so you know how you just asked if that's him returning to lucidity and he's actually talking to his family, whatever. What about the times that he has sex?
I knew you were going to go there. I knew that's what you were going to ask about.
Like, is he there in the hospital bed and then he just has an erection and everyone's like, oh, he's got an erection. Oh, it's gone. And then...
Oh, it's only lasted 3 minutes.
Oh, and then they judge him. And then they clean him up. And then he does it again like 10 minutes later and they're like, what the fuck is going on with this guy?
Well, if his neurons are firing strangely, I don't think he can be held responsible for any muscular movement that may not be necessarily under his normal control. If that is a muscular twitch thing that can be ever considered under control. Yeah. I don't think he genuinely had sex, but I think there was potential brain activity in that area.
Yeah.
Which is the safest way I can put it.
That's fine.
I've got not a controversial thought, but I'm going to put it out there.
Okay.
John Green's The Fault in Our Stars.
Mm-hmm.
They should have made Going Bovine instead.
I agree.
I like John Green as a guy, like, genuinely speaking. I think, social media is okay, things like that, but I find his books somewhat problematic. And I think if you're going to make a dying youth story,
this one would have been more
this
entertaining.
would have been better.
Do you know what I realized while reading this book? That I didn't know was a thing, because I don't study theoretical physics and string theory and other dimensions and how to open them up. They talk about music being its own dimension, and the whole thing with Copenhagen interpretation and playing the music loudly and opening and closing the wormhole. That's why Doc Brown had that giant fucking speaker in his lab at the beginning of Back to the Future.
Whoa.
Right? Why else would he have had that? That's why.
Wow. Yeah, okay. You've just earned a PhD. Congratulations.
Yes. Cool. All right. So, do you want to talk about favorite characters? I'm surprised that we haven't talked about that in our huge discussion about this book.
Yeah.
Which is amazingly weird. But, you know, of course it is, because this book was weird.
Yeah, I don't think it's like it. I don't think there's going to be a major discussion about favourite characters because, honestly, you know, I think what was said already covers it all. But Dulcie and Balder were my favourite characters. I like their, I mean, come on, Balder, he's a freaking little god, no immortal Viking god, who's slightly grumpy, but up for shenanigans. What's not to love? And Dulcie, because she's got a lot of heart and soul and she's trying to teach Cameron how to live life and enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're my favorite characters as well. For the same reasons. There's no question about who your favorite characters are in this book, because they are the heart and soul of this book. Yeah. I love that Balder he's not afraid of anything, and he's always getting stabbed with stuff, or like, I'll go in first to what could be a murderer's house, and then it's, you know, the scientists in their room, but I'll go in first, no one can hurt me.
They're the perfect little adventuring party, aren't they?
They are, and then he dies, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
I have a moment for Balder.
That's actually my surprise.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, seriously, that death, I was expecting Cameron's, like you've said. I wasn't expecting Balder's.
No.
And I was rooting for that little Viking. I was rooting for that little guy. I was hoping he's going to find his boat and, you know, regain his godhood. And God damn it. I think there was an actual verbal no!
Yeah, but that just makes Cameron care even more at the end, which is something that he was struggling with throughout the entire book. You know, he doesn't care about anyone. He even says at the beginning his religion is apathy.
Yeah.
And now he cares about the guy who stole his magic screw getting exploded, and he cares about Dulcie being trapped in a snow globe, and he cares about that so much that he gives up momentarily on his quest to save his own life. That's huge.
It's huge. And it's a necessary death. It wasn't for the sake of it. It was a necessary death.
Yeah.
And not the whole adventuring party doesn't necessarily survive the adventure. And I get that. It was pretty much a total party wipe mine.
Yeah. I also like at the end when they go to Disney World and the snow globe guys are there, and they're trying to capture Cameron, and Gonzo's over having a conversation with his new boyfriend, and Cameron's like sending him messages, don't come over here, like, save yourself, get out of here. And then they do some weird charades, kung fu, kicking their asses, whatever, but like, he sacrifices himself so Gonzo can go off and be happy with his boyfriend.
Yeah.
It's just another thing about Cameron growing in his last literal minutes of life.
He spent so much of the beginning part with Gonzo just like, felt like he was dragging him along because Dulcie told him to, and he just didn't want him there. But then the growing relationship, it wasn't like in your face. It was subtle, very subtle. Yeah. The little changes that took place, little considerations. Bowing down to when Gonzo was like, "Oh, can we sleep in a bed?" And it was nice. It was a nice story. It was, and the more I think about it, the more I am enjoying it. And I will go back and I will read it again, and probably enjoy the craziness even more. Yeah, it's like a movie, a book, TV show. Sometimes you watch it once and you watch it again and go, actually, I've enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
on the second one.
I think one of the great things to have come from this book is that we're having this really in-depth conversation, and it's a very serious conversation, but the book was so wild. Yeah. But you didn't, it's not your favorite. I thought it was fantastic, and here we are having an important conversation about it, and that's one of the things that I love most about doing this podcast is that we get to talk about these sorts of things. And we both read this book and we're like, what the hell? And now we're having a great conversation about it.
Oh, exactly. I actually quite like it when we don't both adore a book as well, because we can have this discussion like adults, because we understand that every book, it's that quote you keep telling me and I always get it wrong.
Yes.
Every book has a reader and every reader has a book. And yeah. Exactly. It's nice to be able to have we don't often have books with the kind of meat on the bones that this one has.
Right.
I think horror books do. Horror books have a lot of meat and are underrated for that reason. I know when we've talked about like Kat Ursa's book, Harrow Lake, and when all of Dawn Kurtikich's books been on, we've had really in-depth meat on the bones conversations. But sometimes it feels like we only scratch the surface of where things can go, especially when we both love a book. And this one, what the hell happened? It's like we need to try and dig through that, and then dig through something else, and then find the layer of vanilla smoothie, and then go through that to finally reach the snow globe. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. There's really no other description for this book. It's weird.
And it's a perfect descriptor.
It is.
Because you keep remembering little different things as well. And
I know. And now you keep saying that you're going to go back and you're going to listen to it, 2 or 3 more times, and maybe you'll like it more after you listen to it again. Like, I just wonder what sort of things we'll pick up when we listen to it again or when we read it again.
Yeah.
What other details are there? Are we going to pay more attention to the things that are happening to Cameron actually in the hospital and how that ties into what he's doing in his quest? Are we going to pick up on more things like that? So I'm interested. I'm excited to listen to it again.
Yeah, I almost feel like we need to record episode 141.5. The revisiting of Going Bovine. Right, so we'll listen to it again twice each.
Yeah.
What
other weird shit did you find?
Do you remember this bit? Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay.
All right, cool. We'll make that plan. Maybe we can get Libba Bray to join us for that.
That would be amazing.
She'll probably be like, I don't even remember fucking writing that book.
Let's talk vampires. Okay.
Okay, let's talk about Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, no, it won't be talk about. Let's sing.
Let's sing about Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, I'm ready for it. Okay, is it time to play Would You Rather?
It is most definitely time. We need this time. We asked on social media, would you rather be friends with a punk rock angel or a grumpy garden gnome? On Facebook, 73% said angel, 27% gnome. On Instagram, 55% angel, 45% gnome. On Twitter, 33% angel, 67% gnome. And on TikTok, 58% angel, 42% gnome. It doesn't surprise me that Twitter is grumpy.
Right, because Twitter is a cesspool. But, Twitter is a cesspool, a glittery cesspool.
Yeah.
Facebook is a testicle in an ugly hat.
Yeah.
What about Instagram and TikTok? We're gonna have to come up with things for them too.
Instagram is
right
like
now.
A filtered something or other, and TikTok is 59 seconds of inspiration at the moment.
We need to think. We need to have a think on those more.
We do.
They haven't really offended me in any way, so...
No.
Except
the platforms
for the fact...
haven't offended me, no.
Right. Except for the fact that we always get those weird spam comments on Instagram. But
I blame not Instagram, I blame the people who've set it up.
yes, agreed. So anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. We have comments.
We do have comments. What are our comments?
Coral Reef 0779 on Instagram and just Coral on Facebook said, "Punk rock angel, let's rock out." Sounds like a much better time. I lumped her Instagram and Facebook together.
That's fine. That's fine. She always leaves good comments on both, so
exactly.
It's good to put them together.
Exactly.
Crinoline Lafroig on Instagram said, "As a gardener, I know the importance of gnomes in the garden. Grumpy ones have more power."
I would believe that.
Balder would keep your garden safe.
Brie Tart on Instagram said, "Punk rock angel, superior fashion and rebellious attitude will get us so much further together."
Mm-hmm. Trina Reeds on Instagram said, "Punk rock angel because the gnome is grumpy. I reckon the angel would be more fun." You know, sometimes the angel was more fun.
Yes, sometimes. Melissa on Facebook said, "I'd have to go with Grumpy Garden Gnome because it would be fun to hear what he thinks about the Travelocity Gnome and how it made other gnomes look, but take pictures of him mocking the Travelocity Gnome as we travelled. Also, booze would be involved."
I'm glad that Melissa has an entire plan of what she's going to do with Balder. It's almost like she was in the Cadillac with them.
I think she's done this before.
She might have. Ashley on Facebook said, I am a punk rock angel and my husband is a grumpy garden gnome, so I'm torn. We're both pretty cool.
That's a road trip right there.
Yeah.
Colin on Facebook said, "Punk rock is good rock. Therefore, punk rock angel, please and thank you. And is it just me, or do most garden gnomes come across as being grumpy? They may be all smiles, but there's something about them. Just me? Fair enough."
Cindy on Facebook said, "A grumpy garden gnome."
And Constance on Facebook said, "I'd rather go punk rock angel. If I was a gnome, I'd be outside in the dirt and a dog would probably pee on me. No thank you."
But then, if you were Balder, you could pee on someone in revenge. So you could just pee back on the dog. He peed on someone.
That's true. That is very true. You'd have to constantly make sure you had some there ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would. All right. So, who are you friends with?
I'm not cool enough for a punk rock angel as much as I would like to think I am. Probably the grumpy gnome. Simply because as well, I think they're possibly more fun. If it's Balder, definitely. If it's just some, curmudgeon old gnome that is angry at the world, I wouldn't want to do that. But if it's Balder, I'm happy with Balder. I think he'd be an absolute barrel of laughs. Because as much as I love Dulcie, she can sometimes, kill the vibe.
She can, but then you could have sex with her.
What? That is true. That is true. There's nothing stopping you with Balder.
That's true. That's also true. This is a hard decision for me. I really like both of them. They're both really great.
Look me in the eye and tell me which one.
I can't look you in the eye because you have on fake sunglasses. I think if I'm just going punk rock angel or grumpy garden gnome and not Dulcie and Balder, then I'll pick the punk rock angel because I'm really interested in her wings, and I would like to have my own wings. I would like to be able to fashion my own wings, so I might want to be friends with her.
Yeah. Are you being friends and stealing her wings?
They're attached to her, but I could borrow her combat boots or her kilts or
But you, if
whatever cool outfits she's wearing, because she wears a lot of cool things.
That is very true. Do you remember in Maleficent? He was able to take Maleficent's wings off her, and they were like pretty much in one place.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not advocating this at all, but am I?
Are you?
Am I?
Are you? Are you?
What, the eyes give it away.
But you can't tell because you have on fake sunglasses.
That's 'cause I'm
And
cute.
I keep getting, like, my face is itchy. Like, I think I have a hair that keeps, like, blowing in my mustache area. But then I feel like it's my fake mustache that's making my face itchy. And it's not because it's fake. It's not even there. It's not there in real life. Anyway.
Is it not?
It does look like the one that I accidentally drew on myself with my hand when we watched Moxie.
Yes.
And
It
I think
really
I was wearing
does.
purple lipstick at that time too, so
Whoa.
I did not have a plant on my head then.
I'm feeling very meta at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, this entire episode's feeling very meta.
Well, this entire episode is very weird, and the book is very weird, so it's probably for the best that we have our filters on.
It makes sense.
It does. It's fine. It doesn't make sense. It makes about as much sense as everything else. All right, next question. Would you rather wake up to a room on fire
Oh, shit.
or to a cockroach in your face?
Ah. Cockroach on my face? Do I want to say that? Because if the room's on fire, that's pretty huge. Like, that is life-threatening, whereas a cockroach on my face, I can, like, just and wig out and throw it off. How big is this cockroach? I've only ever met those giant hissing ones.
It can be whatever kind of cockroach you want it to be.
I'm going to say cockroach on my face, as long as it's not near the mouth. It can be on the forehead.
No, I'm going to go to the room on fire. Because, like, the room on fire, you see that the room is on fire and you can get away from the fire. But how many fucking cockroaches are in that room if there's one right there in your face?
Oh, shit, yeah. Oh, I never thought
There's cockroaches everywhere.
This is not cockroach
Too late.
country I'm
Too late.
in.
You already said it.
Dang it.
You already said it.
Can we
You
set the
already
room
said
on fire with
You're
the
surrounded by
cockroaches in?
cockroaches.
Well, I'm setting the room on fire.
Yes,
I will
that's the
be in
only-
both then.
That's the only.
The only
That's the only
sensible.
way to get rid of them.
Yes.
But they'll probably still survive. Yikes! Gross. Next question. Gross. Gross.
Stop it. Stop it. Would you rather be on the Double Dare show or the trivia game show?
We're not we're not Cameron on the
No.
game show, right? And we're not
Lord and Master
we're not
of your own
Gonzo.
destiny. Yeah, Lord and Master of your own destiny.
If I can be on the trivia game show and it's about something that I actually know about, then I'm going to be on the trivia game show.
Samesies. The Double Dare show is just Jackass by another name, and that's just bad crack. Has there ever been a game show, like trivia show, that you've always wanted to go on?
No, not really.
I've always wanted to go on Wheel of Fortune just to spin the wheel. I don't actually want to
yeah.
play, but I do want to spin the wheel.
Yeah, I think I would probably be okay at Wheel of Fortune. I have a weird thing in my brain that I can fill in those blanks pretty well. So maybe I would be good on Wheel of Fortune.
Never play the Wheel of Fortune game on the Switch. It's rubbish. The clues make no sense. It's stupid.
Now, can I tell you that one of my favorite things that we sometimes do on the weekend is play the Wheel of Fortune game on the original Nintendo, and it's fantastic.
Probably because it makes sense.
It's great. It's one of my favorite Nintendo games to play.
No, I completely, I'm all for that. I love the idea of it, but the execution, it's just stupid.
The Jeopardy game on the original Nintendo is also pretty terrible and fantastic.
We don't really get Jeopardy over here. It's like a few kind of like cable Sky channels might show it on occasion, but it's not huge.
Yeah. All right.
I have seen it though.
Next question. Would you rather be
Wheel of
stuck?
Fortune.
Would you rather play Wheel of Fortune on the Switch or on the Nintendo? Would you rather be stuck on It's a Small World or trapped in a snow globe?
It's a small world. As long as it's not
Nope.
the It's a Small World snow globe that I used to have.
No, that's worse. It's one or the other this time.
What's in the snow globe?
Snow?
Just snow. What scene is in the snow globe?
Well, I suppose it depends on where you are when you get trapped inside of it. So if you were trapped inside the snow globe right now, you'd be surrounded by books.
Right, then I'm picking the snow globe.
I'm picking the snow globe regardless of what is in there with me because I couldn't handle listening to that song over and 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 over again.
No.
I couldn't handle it. I
don't know if it's an urban legend or if it's true that the actual cast members who work on It's a Small World are only allowed to do in short, like, hour-long bursts or something like that because the music gets so bad.
You'd probably go crazy.
You probably would.
So I'm trapped in a snow globe.
We only ever go on it once. I refuse to go on
just-
anymore.
You know, I need to make a caveat about my snow globe. My snow globe cannot have music. It cannot have like a music box where you turn the little crank and songs play. I can't handle that because that's very reminiscent of the tinkliness of a wind chime.
It's the repetition
And
as well.
I just got chills thinking about it. So I would like to be in a quiet snow globe, please.
Yeah, just a regular cardinal, shelf one, paperweight style snow globe, nothing fancy.
Yeah.
With my books, that's fine.
Cool.
Yeah. Would you rather listen to the Copenhagen interpretation, Genie Webster, or The Great Tremolo?
This is a tough one. I think I'm going to go with Copenhagen interpretation because I'm kind of getting like a Bjork vibe from them. So I think that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I'm getting Copenhagen interpretation seems to me like it's some kind of Eurovision Song Contest band. And if you've ever seen Eurovision Song Contest, it fits going Bovine, bonkers, crazy, whacked out, what the hell am I watching vibe.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I freaking love Eurovision.
Okay.
It is an experience.
So we're gonna go to the Copenhagen interpretation concert
I
together.
need to know what music can inspire an Aurora Borealis wormhole trapping thing to occur. I need that in my life.
Okay. Good. That's the end. That's the end of Would You Rather. I just kind of spaced out there for a second. I got sucked into the Aurora Borealis, I think.
You did. Copenhagen interpretation suddenly turned up.
Yeah, they did. Yes. All right. Favorite final thought quote?
I actually was able to pluck out a few while I was listening to it.
Same. I had so many, but I really enjoyed the book, so of course I was very inspired to.
There was a lot as well
select
that
things.
I noted down, but I just plucked out like the top few.
Yeah.
It's a very quotable book. Very, very quotable book. From both scales, like the funny and the serious.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go through them.
Okay.
Don't hurt your happiness. I don't think you should die until you're ready. Until you've wrung out every last bit of living you can. Poor Cameron.
I know.
In a world like this one, only the random makes sense. Which I feel like that is sometimes so true. The last couple of years have been highly surreal for me.
Yes.
Yeah. And this one kind of ties in really quickly as well, is who's to say what's real or not? Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like this next one. I really did. Maybe that's what real friendship is. Getting so used to people that you need to be annoyed by them. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I personally like annoying you every week.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got to live for it. But it's being annoyed by someone, but also being able to get over it. And if you can't get over it, then it's not a real friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this one, because it just felt like, I don't know, it's probably my one for fun, really. There's a bit where Gonzo and Cameron are having a conversation about not having gas in the car for like the millionth time.
Mm-hmm.
And Gonzo says, "You're shit-hedging me." And Cameron replies with, "I shit-hedge you not." And now I just feel like I need to use the "I shit-hedge you not" all the time.
Yes.
That and testicles wearing an ugly hat.
Yes. Just one testicle, though. One testicle in an ugly hat.
A single testicle.
In an ugly hat.
In an ugly hat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What thoughts have you got?
I've got a lot. I feel like I might have more than you this time.
Oh.
It's only Christian to hit people who are well. I hated Chet. I'm glad that Cameron accidentally punched him in the stomach, and then I did not appreciate when he punched him back. Because he is ill. Don't punch ill people. Just embrace the positive. What's so hard about being kind? I have seen how those supposed to have power can be disregarded quite easily. Just because I'm small doesn't mean I have no worth.
Oh, go on.
I really liked that one. These are hard times. The world hurts. We live in fear and forget to walk with hope. But hope has not forgotten you. So ask it to dinner. It's probably hungry and would appreciate the invitation.
Yes. Yes, I had that one.
I like how you think, oh, this is so deep and so serious. And then it's not.
It's tacos.
Okay, I've got a few more. To live is to love. To love is to live.
Yes.
Reality is what you make of it. And finally, this is my one for fun. We haven't done one for fun in a while.
Yeah.
If we went around kicking people all the time, we'd never be able to buy groceries or take a dog for a walk or eat out. It would be complete chaos. That's why we have civilization and table manners. So good. So good. Don't go around kicking people all the time. Like, what? Because you can't buy groceries if you kick people all the time. I love it.
It's a vicious rumor. You can buy groceries once.
Yeah. All right. If you liked this, try this. What can even compare to this book?
Nothing. I racked, I tell you, my brain. And I swear there's something I was trying to remember. I can't come up with it. That it's about this break in reality, the surrealism. But I just can't remember what it is. So what I have done is clutched with claws on the concept of Disney and reality, but it's not as bad. And this is probably more middle grade. However, I know a few Disney fans who also read it who are adults.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with reading middle grade if you're a grown-up.
No, there's not. Any book is good book as far as I'm concerned, but it is aimed at
any book is good book.
Any book is good book. And that's good English for you right there.
Any book is good book.
Any book is good book. You can quote me on that.
I will. I feel like it needs to be a t-shirt. We need more terrible t-shirts in our shop that no one buys except for us.
And this one is, well, like I said, it's a middle grade book, but everybody can enjoy it because, like we said, everybody can enjoy it.
It's kid book.
It's just getting worse. And it's Kingdom Keepers. The first one is Disney After Dark, and it's by Ridley Pearson. And as you know, as you found out, I've just said, it's set in Disney. There's your link. It's from the Disney.fandom.com wiki. And the summary is, in the Kingdom Keepers series, 5 teens have chosen to act as models for holographic guides at Walt Disney World. But the cutting-edge technology has a glitch. When the kids fall asleep, they are transported to the parks in their holographic forms. The ensuing adventures take readers on a rollicking ride as the Kingdom Keepers fight to prevent Disney's destruction. So using cutting-edge technology called DHI, which stands for both Disney Host Interactive and Daylight Hologram Imaging, Finn Whitman, an Orlando teen, and 4 other kids are transformed into hologram projections that guide guests through the park. The new technology turns out, however, to have unexpected effects that are both thrilling and scary. Soon, Finn finds himself transported in his DHI form into the Magic Kingdom at night. Is it real? Is he dreaming? Finn's confusion only increases when he encounters Wayne, an elderly Imagineer who tells him that the park is in grave danger. Led by the scheming witch, Maleficent, a mysterious group of characters called the Overtakers are plotting to destroy Disney's beloved realm and maybe more. Each book is set in the different parks. There's even a cruise line one. If you think it's kind of like a reality-based version of Kingdom, the game, you wouldn't go too far wrong. It's cool. It's a nice little series, especially for Disney fans, because every book is a good book.
Every book is good book.
Every book is good book.
All right, I selected Blink Once by Celine Busby. And I got this summary from Goodreads. And I learned some stuff about Celine Busby, and it's wild. Remind me to tell you about that in just a second after I read this summary.
Okay.
West is a high school senior who has everything going for him until an accident leaves him paralyzed. Strapped down in a hospital bed, slipping in and out of consciousness, West is terrified and alone until he meets Olivia. She's the girl next door, sort of. A patient in the room next to his. Only Olivia can tell what West is thinking, and only Olivia seems to know that the terrible dreams he's been having are not just a result of his medication. Yet, as West comes to rely on Olivia, to love her even, certain questions pull at him. Why has Olivia been in the hospital for so long? And what does it mean that she is at the center of his nightmares? But the biggest question of all comes when West begins to recover and learns that the mysterious girl he's fallen in love with has a secret he could never have seen coming.
Is she dead?
No.
Oh.
It was a good book though. So anyway, Celine Busby, when she was 9, her entire family was stalked by a killer.
What?
In real life.
Whoa.
Yeah. I accidentally started watching one of those crime show report things about it. It's weird. Anyway, that's that. That doesn't have anything to do with anything.
I mean, that's terrible, but cool, but terrible.
Right?
Oh, cool, but terrible.
Yeah. All right, well, that's it for this episode of Fictional Hangover. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire.
Join us next time as we discuss The Mary Shelley Club or The Last Girl by Goldie Moldavsky, depending on which country you live in. You can read either one of those books. Look out for our Would You Rather polls on social media. Don't forget about our book club and monthly challenges on Facebook. Be sure to visit our shop on Redbubble at fictionalhangover.redbubble.com for all your favorite Fictional Hangover themed merchandise, and become a patron of ours on Patreon at patreon.com/fictionalhangover. Until next time, remember, the only cure for a fictional hangover is another book.
You can find us at fictionalhangover.com, follow us on Instagram at fictionalhangover, Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/fictionalhangover and on Twitter at fictionalhangover, no ER. If you'd like this episode, check out our others and rate, review and subscribe so you don't miss out. And finally, special thanks to Liz Emerson for our music. You can find her on Facebook and Patreon. Thanks for listening.